All right, welcome in. It is that time of the week. It is Thursday. It is first day of June 2023 of the Jordan year, I suppose. And we have reached episode 80, the Jerry Rice episode of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. We've got NBA Finals underway. I've got some golf to play. I still have yet to mow my lawn that I have with my new lawnmower yet. Just a bunch of different things that are going on there, but hopefully this weekend I can get her done. I am supposed to be going on an airplane ride here on Sunday, and
Where are you going?
so Cody got his pilot's license, and
Oh,
and he's been I figured, you know what the hell, let's give it a shot. I suppose if he wants to take me down, he's going down with me. So, you know what? And I'm excited. One of our buddies actually went and did it not too long ago, and I was like, yeah, you know what? What the hell? Why not?
one of my buddies, in a situation like this, you can sometimes normally say, "Well, what's the worst thing that could happen?" But in this situation, the worst thing that could happen is pretty bad. So we're gonna hope that doesn't happen.
No, I'm not too worried. My mom trusts him, so why would we ever question her judgment?
If Jolene trusts him, we're in.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Cody, if you're listening, don't let that go to your head. But
it's funny, one of my coworkers, he's actually going to school to be a pilot, and he flies for he goes to school at MSU. So every week, like I think every Wednesday, he either flies from Mankato to Ames or Mankato to Grand Forks.
Oh, okay, sweet.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he just got it. He took his test like about a month ago, and I was fully convinced when we went to his bachelor party. I was fully convinced that's how we were gonna get home, because we flew from Dickinson to Denver to Phoenix out of like their main airport, and then we flew back from Mesa to Bismarck on Allegiant. And I was fully convinced that the way we were gonna get back to Dickinson was he was gonna fly us back from Bismarck to Dickinson.
or like on your way back from Mesa, he's gonna pull a Glenn Quagmire and save the ship that's falling down.
Yeah, exactly it. Well, that one's a little bit bigger than the ones he's flying, so
that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, we'll have a recap on that later next week. But NBA Finals is underway. We're less than 100 days out from the college football season starting again. Ethan just got his tickets to go to flights to the Gophers North Carolina game in September. Yeah. So before you know it, we keep chipping away here. We are just inching closer and closer to college football being here, and it's going to be full speed ahead here.
Well, and then also we're less than 100 days away from the NFL coming back. Also,
has that hit?
Yeah, I want to say it was Tuesday this week. We hit the NFL shared on their Instagram page.
I suppose that would make make sense then. Yeah,
a graphic with Jared Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Chris Jones. So,
okay,
it's here. It's live, folks. We will be having real football soon, and that's exciting.
Yes, it is. And it'll be here before you know it. But before we do that, we got the NBA Finals tonight. As you're listening to this, it's Nuggets Heat in a very anticlimactic Game 7 between the Heat and Celtics. Almost coming back from a 3-0 deficit. Ethan, you were this close, and a lot of people, it was very confident. I wasn't going to be shocked, but I was on Saturday. I watched Game 6 where I had a buddy back in town for his brother's high school graduation and went to his open house. And after everything kind of in the game started, we watched. And him and his stepdad, huge Celtics fans. So we're watching this game. We're listening to it like things are going well. It's like we're coming back. Then Jimmy Butler happens, gets fouled, makes all 3 free throws. And I've described this to a few people that it was very similar to like the Minneapolis Miracle, where it was just it went from like drunken disappointed. My buddy just chucks his hat at the door, got his hands in his face like, oh my God, I can't believe we're gonna lose this way. And then Smart shot goes out, just and then Derek White with the tip in. It went from drunken disappointed to drunken disorderly. My buddy and his stepdad, they were jumping up and down, hugging each other in excitement that there was a game 7, and then and then after that, a second is like, we're totally gonna lay an egg on Monday night, and that's exactly what happened. Is I think they got up like 7-2, and then after that, it was all heat.
What you said there, Dylan? Drunken disorderly to what? Drunken
disappointed to drunken disorderly.
Yeah, that should be just a motto for the city of Boston, because they just go from 0 to 100, and that was fantastic. So they who knows? You might need to talk to the great people of that city and try to get that trademarked or get that on a shirt or something. I think that'd be a good shirt that'll sell.
I think that there's a lot of moments, and maybe once the NBA Finals is over and we finish book club, that could be a topic of discussion. Is drunken disappointed to drunken disorderly in a matter of seconds, or the flip? Because I have one that comes to mind right away is the 2015 Michigan State game, the trouble with the snap game.
Oh yes.
And I'm sure there's a few more. Grant, I can think of years. A couple of years would be the Chiefs in the 2018 AFC Championship game.
D Ford, man.
I'm really bringing up and really reopening up some wounds.
Don't go there. Don't go
the
there.
2015 Big Ten Championship games. Hey, if I had to open up the rip the Band-Aid off of a game from 2015, I got to rip it off you. It's only fair how this works.
Well, then also Thursday night Chiefs Broncos. The Jamal Charles fumble. That was just an awful year. The Broncos defense and L.J. Scott, two people to this day I am not a fan of.
No, can't say I blame you.
Freaking L.J. Scott, man. Well, and then the interception off of, it wasn't Kittle, it was the other tight end's shoulder, or Vandenberg's shoulder pads in the end zone.
Oh yeah.
I was like, because I think that would have put us.
It just sat on his shoulder.
Sat his shoulder I think would have put us up 13-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sums up that game. But
Ethan, do you can you think of any drunken disorderly to drunken disappointed games?
Well, I'd say the last two Iowa Minnesota games, last 2 years.
Oh yeah.
It didn't end at the last second, but just the game in Kinnick kind of did. That's got to be one.
I'm trying to think what else. The Purdue one last year, you win that, you win the West.
Oh yeah, the lay an egg on homecoming.
Yeah.
2 drop touchdowns. Yeah, no, the 2 Iowa ones probably are big just because they outplayed them 100% in both games, and you run for 300 yards, one player, and you can't win. Solid.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Well, and we've got some more Minnesota heartbreak we're going to get on to touch on here late in a little bit here, but let's discuss back to the NBA Finals here. Nuggets have had about 10 days off now, and they're going to be well rested. Heat coming off an emotional game. This game tips off at 6:30 Mountain on ABC. Nuggets right now are 9-point favorites. The big matchup that everyone's kind of circling as soon as the finals were set is the Bam Jokic. We're going to see if Bam is going to be able to. I don't think you're going to completely shut Jokic down, but if you're able to make things tough, get physical with him, find a way to wear him down, I think that gives Miami a shot. Can Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin, the undrafted guys for Miami, can they continue their hot shooting, which propelled them into the NBA Finals? And then another matchup is I think how Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. are going to be able to handle Jimmy Butler. I think if they're able to make things tough, and I think one thing that Jimmy really needs to do is not go and hunt for fouls, which he did a lot of in the Boston series, where it almost seemed like he was looking more for a foul than just going up strong to the basket, which cost him a lot of layups. And what was it in Game 6 where they shot like it was like 9 of 37 or something from the paint. And part of it too was it seemed like he was scared and just go up strong, Jimmy. You're 6'7", you built like a brick. Just go up strong, whatever happens. You're either going to get fouled or you're going to make it. I think the one weakness for Denver is I think they lack their bench is lacking. I think if this series goes longer, I think it's going to favor Miami because Denver's just not very deep. And Miami, they're believing right now. They're playing high. The baskets the size of, as we would say on the league, the size of Andre's sister, and or as wide open as Florida was during COVID. I think that's better since Miami is in Florida. But I'll let you guys go give your rundowns, then we'll go swap over to predictions.
I just think Denver is honestly just too good. The West is way harder than the East. I mean, Miami did great. They beat probably the two best teams in the East to get to the finals, but Boston and Milwaukee, neither one are Denver. Denver's been the best team all year. I don't see that changing any time in this series. They might get a game or two, but I just think Denver's too good. I know the depth is a little scary thing for Denver, but if they shoot like they're doing and just Jokic is as good as he's been, I don't think Miami's going to have an answer for him.
Well, and Ethan, to your point, you beat a Milwaukee team without Giannis.
Yeah, twice.
Twice. That kind of puts a little something else on that series there. But, Dylan, a player you didn't mention was Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Vincent, to your point, Vincent Strauss, all these other cats, they're going to be able to slow him down because no one's been able to stop Jamal Murray. They're playing right now, guys, kind of like how UConn was in the NCAA tournament right now, where it almost doesn't feel like anybody can play with them. Nobody can stop them. Only they can stop them. Again, it kind of takes you back to that 2018, 2015, 2016, Villanova teams where they were just hot.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt like their year. And, Bam, he can be a good offensive player, but on the defensive end, I think he's kind of soft. And what Jokic, I think, is about to do to him right now is going to be just absolutely disrespectful and disgusting. I think Jamal Murray's been the best player for the Nuggets this postseason, but I think Jokic is going to be the MVP, and he's going to absolutely just make Bam look like a fool. And, I understand you want to get physical with Jokic, but listen to some of these guys on TV talk, and you hear other players talking on the internet. Jokic, he'll give it to you too. So he's going to give it to Bam, and, Mike Malone, everyone's going to talk about Spoelstra. Mike Malone's done a great job as coach for Denver. It just like Ethan said, it kind of feels like their year. And I think the only person that can stop them is going to be them. And then for Miami, who's going to stop Aaron Gordon? Jimmy can't guard him. He's got to be on Michael Porter Jr. It seems like it's going to be almost too much. I could be wrong. Like I said, I was all on the Heat bandwagon last year, and they proved us wrong through this whole series. But the Celtics are kind of a soft-ass basketball team compared to Denver, and I just don't think Denver is gonna let up anytime soon. The whole rest versus rust thing, that's not a debate we should have before the series, because guess what? If they play good, it was good rest. If they play bad, it was rust. I think the only team that's going to stop Denver is Denver, and they're just not going to do it 4 times. Even though the season series, I believe Denver won both games, but it was by like 6 points or less.
You could argue T-Wolves probably played the best defense on Murray, and he still hit shots that he just could barely hit.
Yeah, he just went nuclear.
Yeah, just stupid.
In that series. And, also, Ethan, you could have, with how well you could say, minus game 1, the Timberwolves, and how well the Lakers played against the Nuggets this postseason, between those 7 games, or 4 games, 8 games, games 2 through 5 for the Wolves, and then 1 through 4, the Nuggets lost 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just incredibly hot right now, and they feel hungry. And they want to prove hey, this 2020 bubble championship run in the Western Conference Final wasn't a fluke. Jamal's healthy. Don't forget about me. I'm a superstar. We got the 2-time MVP. Look at the team we've built. Hey, our executive vice president of basketball operations leaves to go to Minnesota, and we don't miss a beat. So it's going to be an uphill battle for Miami, and if they want to compete anywhere in this series, they have to get one of those first 2 games in Denver. If they don't, it's over. It's just more or less.
I could see Butler going on Murray though to start.
I think you almost have to.
You got to get him, at least try to get him out of his zone.
And then someone with a little bit more size on there too, where he can actually somewhat contest his shots.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
I think Murray's only 6'4". What's Jimmy, 6'7" or something?
Yeah.
Jimmy's like 6'7". But yeah, I think Jamal Murray, I think he's that good of a player. You don't really have to say much, and I think that's going to be the biggest problem for Miami is I don't think Jimmy Butler's going to guard him all the game because you're going to need him on the offensive end to score. And by the end of Game 7 against the Celtics, he looked exhausted. And he looked exhausted in Game 6 as well. And then you're going to Denver where the elevation is higher, and that's going to make a difference as well. Which just we'll just smooth into transition into predictions here. And I do think I think this series goes back to Miami. I think it goes back 1-1. And I think Denver in the end though, I think maybe it gets 2-2. It goes back to Denver 2-2. But I think after Game 4, I think the legs of Miami start to wear down. I think Miami is a little bit tired going into elevation. I think Denver wins Game 5, and I think they close it out in Miami in Game 6. So Nuggets in 6.
I'll say Nuggets in 5. Denver gets Game 3 at home, kind of build it back up.
You mean Game 3 in Miami?
Sorry, yeah, Game 3 in Miami.
Yep.
But then Denver closes it out and just says, screw you, we're taking it back with us.
Ethan, we must have the same notes, or we're thinking the same thing. Because I also like Nuggets in 5. I think they go up 2-0. I think Tyler Hero coming back in Game 3 possibly gives the Heat a little bit of a jump. There's 20 more points. You got.
I don't know. I think they're better without Tyler Hero.
But it's just.
I think he's too much of a ball stopper.
It's just.
When you watch him play, he stops the dribble where when he's off the floor, the ball moves and flows so much better without Tyler Hero. I think he could affect them more than he would help them.
And you could argue that makes sense.
We have some breaking news. I hate to interrupt you.
Uh-oh.
The Twins got a hit with the bases loaded.
Let's go.
Whoa! Yes.
Hold the presses. We got a new headline. We got a new newspaper. Wow.
It was only a single. We don't do extra base hits with the bases loaded. But it scored 2.
Hey, what are we, 6 for 44 this year now with the bases loaded?
Something like that. It's just
let's go, baby.
We did strike out with it, bases loaded, nobody out though, so we're still looking for that first hit with nobody out, but we got a hit.
So we're 6 for 45 now this year.
Something like
what's
that.
What's the score of that game right now?
2-0, top of the third.
Whoa.
2-0 good guys.
All right, well, the Twins have a chance to go.
Buxton in the lineup tonight.
Well, hey, they got a chance to go knock on wood. They have a chance to go into the defending champion's house and steal a series from them. So
if they win tonight, they win the season series version.
Hey, let's go.
That means they beat them and the Yankees in the same year.
2-1 to start the year, right? Or 3-1.
They won. It's 2-2 right now.
That's right.
Or 3-2. Sorry, 3-2. Because we won 2. Won the first game. This one.
Yeah, we won. Yeah, we won 2 up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they got a big one coming up this weekend against Cleveland.
Yeah, get the bats hot now and roll Cleveland, open some space up. Hope Detroit.
Well, especially a team like Cleveland who can't hit the baseball for anything.
Actually, my dad just said he got his tickets, so we will be there Saturday.
Skirt, baby.
Ben, can't wait to do my call.
Oh, good call. Good call. Yeah. I like that.
But we are the Indians. We are not the Guardians.
You should do the tomahawk chop. I know
if we hit a home run, I'm going to.
I know it's an Atlanta thing and it's a Kansas City thing, but do it.
No.
But Dylan, to your point,
Chief Wahoo.
Back on Tyler Hero, Miami had one of the worst offenses in the regular season, and then all of a sudden, when he's hurt, come playoff time, they have the second best offense in the playoffs. So there's some substance there.
I think they'll miss Oladipo more than they're going to miss Tyler Hero.
That's fair.
Because that's somebody too. Oladipo was somebody too that could have guarded Jamal Murray, but they can't.
Just a couple guys who have played good minutes. Denver's not the deepest team, but Davius Caldwell-Pope and then Jeff Green. It's just Denver. They just, like I said, they're Philadelphia. They just come at you in waves, man. They're just like the Eagles this year. They just attack.
Fun to watch.
They are fun to watch. But selfish, I don't really like the Nuggets. I always root against them. I think it's a Denver thing. I think the Broncos have ruined any sports organization for me. And I've always had a strong disdain for the Colorado Avalanche. So anything to do with Denver sports, I will be rooting against them.
Okay.
I think they win.
What about in 07 when the Rockies were made it to the World Series? Were you anti?
I was rooting for them just because they're not a big market, and it's the Rockies. I mean, come on, guys. That's the only time we've talked about them in 20 years. And not the biggest Red Sox fan out there. I mean, of all the Boston teams out there, I kind of could care less about them. Actually, I guess I don't have any disdain for any Boston team anymore. It's not like I root for them. It's not like I root against them. They're just kind of meh. They're there. But yeah, I would have rooted for the Rockies for sure.
Okay, gotcha. I think everybody was a Rockies fan outside of that little corner that is New England. Yeah,
the New England portion of this country, absolutely.
Yeah, but let's go over. It's book club, guys. We are narrowing down to after this we've got one chapter left here, and but this week it is chapter 6. It is Disorder in Dinkytown. So talking about the downfalls of Gopher sports. And I tell you what, I bet you Bill Murray wishes he had a golden gopher instead of the gopher he was trying to get on Caddyshack, because he would have caught a golden gopher after reading this chapter.
Yeah. Without question.
But I believe that gopher is actually shown on the Huntington Bank Stadium scoreboard when they do the gopher at the start of the fourth. Do they still do that?
Do the gopher? I've been to a game, I think, Grant, since the Iowa game we went to.
You're right.
They did it then. They did do it then.
I can confirm that does happen because 2021 against Ohio State in the rain, they did it. We did it. And then last year against Colorado, when nobody was there and paying attention, they still did it. But
I want to see video of Grant doing the gopher. That's something that the world needs to see.
Low key, actually, doing the gopher, like it does more for school spirit. But the best one they have is when they insert the scene from The Lion King when Rafiki has Simba, and they put Goldie's head over Simba, and all the parents put their kids in the air. That is fantastic.
Oh, it's so good.
That's the best. That's the best one. You get a little nostalgia, takes us back to our childhood, some Lion King music, and parents just throwing their kids in the air. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and this one starts off with a ultimate what if, and the most Midwest, if you have snow in your region story ever is. The Gophers had a chance to hire John Wooden, and he was and the issue was Minnesota's wanted him to keep the former head coach as an assistant. Wooden said no, and they were going to get back to him. Snowstorm allegedly hits. There's, depending on the weather reports you look at, it was the temperature ranged from 39 to 78 degrees. Not snowstorm weather.
No.
And Wooden was supposed to be getting a call. He never got a call at the certain time he was supposed to have it. He takes the UCLA job. The rest is history. Minnesota hires who is this? Ozzie Cowles, who had coached 11 years for the Gophers, had a solid career, but it was no John Wooden career.
Well, that guy coached 11 years for the Gophers, and John Wooden won 11 national titles.
Yes.
Yeah. So that pretty much says it all right there. I can't get over the fact that you want to move on from the head coach, previous administration, but you still want to keep him in the building and have him be your assistant for your new coach? What kind of inept thinking is that? That just doesn't make any sense. That's just straight up dookie.
Well, and then this coach didn't even hire him either, and they just gave him a job in the athletic department, or it was.
So it's like he failed at being a basketball coach, so we're going to give him a promotion to be a coach in our athletic work in the administrative office with the athletic department. What kind of world do we live in where you get rewarded for being bad at your job?
Soft world. Must have been tough back then.
But I thought these kids went. I thought these people when they were kids walked to school uphill both ways.
Ooh, Grant's starting stuff right now.
I listen to the people in this country who are 70 years and older, and they talk about how rough and tough they are, and they didn't grow up with social media and all this other stuff. But now we're rewarding a guy for being bad at his job. I mean, they say that to us about millennials and Gen Zs. They're no better than us.
It's true.
Yeah.
These old people are just soft.
Maybe we're the tough ones. Maybe we talk about Ethan just talked about it on the last episode. It's a reverse psychology podcast. Maybe that's what they were doing to us, and we're the smart ones that figured it out that it wasn't as tough, but they were just trying to make us tough.
They're salty about it.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Well, then also these are the type of people who are just upset that they retired 10 years too early, and with the world we live in, prices going up, all their money they saved up is gone, so they have to live off of Social Security. So they're taking out on us for no apparent reason. Hey, we didn't do that. We're paying for you to live. Don't come at me, old person. There's going to be no money when I try to retire. Old people just bug me sometimes, and I'm taking it out on the administration here.
I understand their frustration. They work their entire life to not have to work and have the 401k, and then everything goes up where they have to get jobs. I would be mad too.
Don't take it out on me. Don't call me soft when you don't know who I am.
Well, I don't think anybody who knows you, Grant, would think you're soft. Maybe Ethan would.
Oh, Ethan is a sarcastic clown.
Well, he did move out of his recliner where he says he always sleeps in his recliner and slept on the couch today. So that's pretty weak.
I don't know what it is, but recently it seems like the recliner, for some reason, this is what it is. I've gotten so used to those 6 weeks off sitting on the couch upstairs, which is a little wider.
You're used to it now.
Had a little more room. I'm not used to being kind of jammed in on the recliner.
Makes sense.
And also, I'm not gonna lie, Moneyball was on the TV. Wanted to sprawl out and maybe close my eyes for 15 minutes and snooze.
I fell asleep for more than 15.
I saw an opportunity to get horizontal on the cool leather couch and took it.
Yep.
It's a comfortable couch.
Well, Ethan comes in. Well, you know what? To his defense, I always take the recliner's my chair and he takes the couch. So, you know what? If I want to get horizontal, I had to go to the leather couch.
I think I was out within 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I was pretty exhausted.
But it was a warm day. You were out. You spent the whole morning outside.
I was at the zoo all day, petting tigers and lions.
Bears. Oh my.
Yeah, God.
Ethan exotic.
Yeah.
And then got a fantastic.
Give me a show on Discovery.
A fantastic lunch at Sunshine Factory. The guy was in the sun. He had a full belly. He had a drink or two at lunch. He needed a nap.
And cheese curds.
Cheese curds.
Oh, those will tire you out.
He needed a nap, folks.
Put us out.
We call that a good day off.
It sounds nice. I did not get a day off today.
But
I have the weekend off, so
I was gonna say
suck it.
I do too, actually.
I'm not gonna brag too much because come Saturday and Sunday when my alarm, goes off or my body wakes up at 4:45, 5 o'clock, and it's like, all right, let's do this whole work thing.
Loser.
Yeah, so you're not gonna hear me bragging too much.
And speaking of losers, let's go to the next one. Gophers getting to brawl at the barn with Ohio State.
Why is
Ohio State being the losers?
Or heartbreak?
I think
it was more so just embarrassing. Yeah. The dad of the Arkansas coach. Bill Musselman is the Gophers coach, and tempers were flaring at halftime as Ohio State's center was spitting on players. I believe that was.
Now, that you don't do. That's crossing the line right there.
Yep.
You
And
physically
he
spit
so
on someone?
elbowed the Gophers guard. Not shocking. Ohio State being scumbags. Least shocking thing. Ohio State definitely started this, and it was. So it was actually Whitty saying that the center for the Gophers spit on him, which Whitty being the Ohio State center. But I mean, Ohio State does have a history of scandals and lying and covering things up and spreading false things. So
trading chains for tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. Vehicles. We don't have to get into the whole history because we're talking the Gophers here, but Dave Winfield, former Twin great Dave Winfield was on this basketball team, and it was Gophers actually ended up going on to win the Big Ten that season, and then they lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament, 70-56.
But you say this: anytime another man spits on you, hands automatically are being thrown.
Absolutely.
Cooler heads do not prevail here. Someone spits in your face, hands are being thrown.
Any part of my body, if somebody spits on me and it lands on me, hands are getting thrown.
You're going to look like Trent Williams against Richard Sherman after the playoff game. Pop!
I'm just excited that the fans came in and backed the team up. Like, that's fantastic. Go beat the shit out of Ohio State players.
That is hilarious, too. Yeah. Hey, protect your house. Protect the barn.
Literally. Protect the barn.
Yeah, protect the barn, literally. Don't let the people from Central Ohio.
Don't piss the Gophers off.
The Harvard of Ohio State, the Harvard of Central Ohio, come in and disrespect you. Take them out.
Don't ever mention Ohio State and Harvard in the same sentence again. That's just not accurate.
Dylan, I was making a joke. I was being a sarcastic asshole, saying it's the Harvard of Central Ohio.
It's the Harvard of. I think Ohio University is the Harvard of Ohio.
I don't even know where is Ohio, but here's my thing: is Ohio University in Central Ohio? Because Columbus is in the middle of the state.
It's in Athens, I think, which is closer to Cincinnati. I think. I don't know I'm not well versed in my Ohio geography.
Cincinnati's damn near in Kentucky.
Well, the Cincinnati International Airport is in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Let's look here. Let's see where
Fun Fact
Athens
Friday.
is.
That's a Fun Fact Friday, recorded on a Wednesday, coming out on a Thursday, folks.
That's a good one.
Bang! In honor of Mike Breen and the NBA Finals starting up. Bang!
So Cincinnati and Louisville are such big rivals. They're like literally.
Well, they're so close to each other.
Same with Xavier. They're down there.
Oh yeah, God, that's just some good basketball right there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Athens. It's in southeast Ohio. It's fairly close to West Virginia.
Okay. Oh, gross.
Uh-huh. The lovely people of West Virginia. But let's go on to another Musselman era story with the Gophers. He is punished for violations here. And right after it, he leaves. It involved some very notable names. Michael Thompson, Klay Thompson's dad, Flip Saunders, the godfather of modern Minnesota basketball, you could say. Dave Winey, I don't know who he is, but they declared him ineligible. The program had over 100 violations, which included players selling game tickets for more than face value and players receiving cash and other freebies that were considered excessive aid from boosters and Musselman. And he left because he claimed that he didn't feel supported by the U of M and took a job coaching in the ABA, the San Diego Sails.
It's pretty obvious the NCAA is just jealous Minnesota created NIL before it was legal.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
And
They were just a front for the bigger schools so they could pay them. Minnesota was the fall guy.
Yep.
they were the fault guy. Someone else brought the NCAA or Ohio State dropped their drop knife, put it by the University of Minnesota.
They fell so North Carolina could rise.
And so you could take African American underwater basket weaving classes. Which is why Caleb Love was not accepted into Michigan. You can't accept fake credits.
This is true. Now he's at Arizona, which is also a place where players don't go to class.
Well, it's a glorified high school.
Yeah.
Like in Family Guy, when the doctor takes the stethoscope and he puts it on some guy's chest. Yeah, you're breathing. Welcome to Arizona. You're a wildcat.
But and then of course Musselman just leaves, says hell with it, and then the school and the players who had nothing to do with it have to suffer through it.
Dude, is it just a Minnesota thing for players and coaches to scalp tickets? We had Mike Tice doing it last week. They got the basketball team doing it this week. Like, is that just a thing we're doing here? Do I need to start scalping tickets?
You should.
You should. That's a good moneymaker for you.
I could do it.
And you wouldn't have to. And you probably, if you just force them to pay you in cash, then there's no there's no
record.
There's no record. You just keep it for yourself. You don't have to pay taxes on it.
There's no paper trail.
I'm solving your problems here, Grant.
I'm just gonna have to. Next time I see a guy with a sign that says "I need tickets," I'm gonna give him my tickets.
There you go.
And just get cold hard cash for it. And I take it, I deposit it in the bank, and they look at my ATM statement. It just says deposit of X amount. They don't know if that was a check or cash. Life is good.
Yeah, and then we'll go over to football, where the Gophers leave Memorial Stadium to go over to the Metrodome, and the stadium, it was named after the students who served in World War I. And while the Gophers were at Memorial Stadium, they won 6 national titles and 10 Big Ten championships, had 6 unbeaten seasons, and even a Heisman Trophy winner in 1941 by the name of Bruce Smith. But as any stadium, it gets old and needs renovations. Needed anywhere from $3 million to $10.5 million to renovate. And while at the same time, the Metropolitan Sports Facilities Commission. I wonder if that's still a thing.
These guys are back again.
These guys, they are back again. They were building the Metrodome for the Twins and the Vikings. And the Gophers decided, you know what? We're going to go off campus here. We're going to go and play in the dome. And initially, it worked out okay. Their attendance increased by about 15,000. But then after that, it dropped continuously. It was originally for the first 3 years, they were gonna they were gonna get 35% of concession profits. They would receive free rent and all gate receipts, less than 10% for the Metropolitan Sports Facilities Commission, and the lease was for 30 years, but they could withdraw from the contract at any time during the first 3 years. And Gophers, they went 3-8 that year, but they still drew almost 59,000 people, which was much more, which 17,000 more, not 15, than the what they were averaging in 81 at Memorial Stadium. And then, but the atmosphere wasn't what it was at Memorial Stadium, and you could tell that by the end, stadium was always seemed to be half empty, and you could definitely tell when they moved back to when it was TCF Stadium. There was a certain buzz with it back on campus. The atmosphere, it's increased and improved every year, because when the Gophers moved there, the team was not that great under Tim Brewster. But now Flex seems to be able to sell the thing out. They have good fan support. And even the students have started to show up more consistently too over the years too, especially since Fleck has shown up as well. But just a bad decision. And there's some bricks if you want to go see. I believe it's now the Alumni Association is the old Memorial Stadium.
Interesting. I had no idea about that.
Yep. That's new news to me.
The only reason I know that is because they had an old game. It was like Gophers Ohio State. I don't know when, but the Gophers won, and I was like, I've never actually seen a game at Memorial Stadium or Minnesota's Memorial Stadium, because there's like 50 in college athletics. So I started looking at it, and it was, I believe it's part of the Alumni Center. They built like one of the bricks. I think it was brick all around. They
because the whole campus is brick.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what they used to build off the Alumni Center.
Well, if you don't know, now you know. And that's something new I learned today.
And then sticking with Gopher football, Nebraska wishes they could go back to these times. Minnesota, they lost to Nebraska on September 17th, 1983 by 71 points.
That's hard to do.
It was so bad that Tom Osborne actually apologized for scoring so many points, which I think it would fit in because that's kind of a soft thing to do.
Just like just like the older generation.
Yeah, exactly. And then 2 weeks later they lost to Ohio State 69-18. Head coach Joe Salem was fired after the season.
Oh, good.
Which led the way for Lou Holtz to be hired, but it was 42-10 at halftime, and then the backup took over in the fourth. He added a 51-yard touchdown pass, and he ran for 2 touchdowns. Nebraska ran for 595 yards rushing.
And guys, it's like they had to have just been scoring on like 70, 80-yard runs all the time, because back then, Nebraska, they're running the ball for every single play. They're out of the wishbone, the wing tee. They're just trying to run clock and have run time of possession up. Like, the Gophers had to play no defense on this day.
Yeah, they must not have cared at that point.
Like, Dylan, at your point, those holes had to be bigger than Andre's sister. They're just huge. I mean, there's a chance behind that offensive line that day, guys, us three could have scored.
We could have. It's possible. And Nebraska had a team. Turner Gill was quarterback. Mike Rozier, who I believe won a Heisman Trophy for the Huskers. Those are two solid people to have on your team, and that was in the golden days of Nebraska football.
Is that what Nebraska fans watch these days? Do they just turn on and
absolutely
watch 1985? I mean, because
I think so.
The only thing on their cable package they have is the History Channel.
Yeah. Maybe I should call Nate up and see if that's what he does.
That's probably actually the game he's watching right now. He's thinking about
it. Probably, but we talked about the 71-point loss and then the 69-18 loss. Carved the way for Lou Holtz to be hired as the Gophers head coach, coming from Arkansas. When he left Arkansas, he had a 60, 21-2 record and 6 postseason bowl appearances in 7 years. And now what's known as the Notre Dame clause is he signed a contract for 3, or I think it was 6 years, because he was there. 5 years. He signed a 5-year contract, and he had one stipulation in that he could leave if Notre Dame ever contacted him. Well, they did, and Holtz didn't have the best start, but there was some drastic improvement from they were 1-10 the year before he got there. They went to 4-7, and then 6-5, made it to a bowl game. Since their first one since the 1977 season. And that was around the time when rumors were flying that Notre Dame was going to be firing their head coach. And that was the only job Lou Holtz was going to leave for. Just so happens that he didn't that he took it. And what's funny is that originally he didn't want to take the job because it was cold, and we didn't talk about it in the previous one where the Gophers leave for the Metrodome. But in 1984, when that lease was when the Gophers could have backed out of the lease, he gave an impassioned speech about how the kids want to play in the dome. Now, is he the reason for the downfall of Gopher football? I don't know. And they hired John Gutekunst. I don't know if he's got any relation to Brian. But
don't ask Aaron Rodgers about that.
Yeah. But beat Clemson in a bowl game in his first season. And then he coached for 5 more, but never won more than 6 games. Holtz coached at Notre Dame for 11 years, 130-2 record, won a national title in 88. And then the Vikings there was rumors that the Vikings were going to hire him in 91.
Interesting. It's another case of a Hall of Fame coach where you sit back and you're like, what could have been for Minnesota?
Yeah.
What could have been with Holtz and
John Wooden?
John Wooden. You just don't know.
Would have been quite the duo.
God, it would have been.
That's about as good of a coaching 1-2 punch you could get.
Oh my God, yeah, without question.
I mean, it's no Jim Harbaugh, Juwan Howard, but still pretty close.
Someone's got to come in second place.
I can't believe I said that. That was dumb.
Well,
but the funny part about it is now that Harbaugh's kind of has some momentum, beating Ohio State twice, and if you pair that up with the run Beeline had from 2013 to when he left, you could make that argument, but now you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But and then going into the 90s, the Gophers, they fall 1 game short of the Final Four. And when I was reading this one, it almost felt like the Morgan Wallen song, the 98 Braves, where they're in the Sweet 16, they beat a power in Syracuse and felt like they had it won, and they go and give up 40 and 30 points to 2 Georgia Tech scorers. And Georgia
Kenny
Tech shot
Anderson,
30.
30. Like, the dude's a beast.
Yeah. And that was the furthest they've gotten to that point, the 97 season when they made it to the Final Four, but we already discussed that one. But and they were a senior-laden team. They had a coffee. I'm guessing that was Amir's dad, Ethan.
Yes, it was.
Okay. And just what it could have been. The 90s. I can't remember who was in the 1990 Final Four, but I want to say that was a UNLV team. Who? I
think they beat Duke, if I'm not mistaken.
It could be. I'll let you guys give your thoughts, and I'll look it up.
I don't know, just another sports memory. You come so close and you fall.
Well, and especially in the best tournament in college sports.
Yeah.
At a school that's typically not a basketball school. In this state, in this season, everyone's focused on hockey, and basketball kind of takes a back burner. You get the people going around you. It rallies the troops, and you just come out and kind of Minnesota style. You just give up 78 points between 2 players, and you let them take the game over.
Yep, and that Final Four, yes, it was UNLV beat Duke in the national title game. It was UNLV, Duke, Arkansas, and Georgia Tech in the Final Four that year. But also a good topic, guys, which we should do once we're done with book club, is we think of a team that had us feeling like the 98 Braves. So I'm sure you guys got them in your heads. Don't say it now, but we will get to that. Okay, so just putting the bug in your ear.
I like it.
And we're gonna go into the 2000s, a game that had both Ethan and I, we were involved in. It was Gophers, Michigan in 2003. The game was on a Friday because the Twins were playing, and within the contract of the with the Metrodome the priority was always Vikings, Twins, Gophers. So Twins had an afternoon game on Saturday, so that Michigan Minnesota game got moved up to Friday, and Minnesota was up 28-7 going into the fourth quarter, and Michigan scored on a 10-yard touchdown pass to make it 28-14, and then Minnesota's quarterback threw a pick six, make it 28-21, and then the Gophers got back up 35-21, but Michigan did not quit. John Navarre hit Braylon Edwards on a 52-yard touchdown pass to get him within 7. And then 6 minutes to go, Michigan got a stop, got the ball back, scored on a 10-yard touchdown run to tie it at 35. And then Michigan kicks a field goal in the final minutes. The Gophers lose 38-35. Now, I don't know if you remember this game, either of you guys remember this game, but I do, because it was weird that they were playing on a Friday, and I didn't know that it was because of the Twins until later. But Michigan was getting their ass kicked so bad that I was kicking, screaming, having a fit, that we had to turn the TV off. And after I cooled down a little bit, I got to watch it, and all of a sudden it was 35-21 or 35-35, and they came back to win. And I remember it went from similarly, which I was a second or third grader at the time, a similar story of drunken disappointed to drunken disorderly in a matter of minutes.
I actually didn't move to Minnesota till I want to say 2006, so I never really paid attention to the Gophers at all prior to moving here, so I don't remember this game.
Yeah, okay, Grant, do you remember anything about this game?
I do, because Dylan, to your point, like you said, it was a Friday night, which is kind of at the house watching the game, and this was the first game where I remember in like my sports viewing career, we'll call it, that I was like, oh my God, this team's gonna blow away a lead on a game they should have won. This shouldn't happen. Like, they shouldn't have lost that game. How do you have a lead like that and just blow it like that? Just kind of like in a state of shock or something. And my parents were both hoping the Gophers would have won because they're rooting against Michigan that day. Anytime you can get a blue blood to lose on the road to a team they shouldn't lose to, everyone's going to root for that. And it's just like they got this huge lead, and then you watch them just kind of give it away, and it's like, oh, that's the first time I've ever seen that. And it's like, this is allowed to happen. Like, you're up 21 points. You should win the game, right? But nope, the Gophers just decided to say, we don't want it. Michigan, you can take this victory.
Yeah, and that was the year Michigan had a really good team. They beat Ohio State that year. They played USC, and if they beat USC, won the national title or split a national title, Michigan wins, they technically would have a full national title if you count the 97. I think they would have whooped Nebraska's ass, if you ask me. And they would have beat, I think it was split with LSU. They would have beat LSU.
USC can claim that they're co-national champs all the time. Here's my question. I get it was the BCS system, blah, 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 blah. Where's their pitcher with the trophy? Oh, that's right. It's in Baton Rouge. Don't give me that split championship nonsense. Kind of like those clowns at Central Florida in 2017.
Hey, come on, they have a cop card.
I don't give a damn about that. Where's your pitcher with the trophy?
Well, that is actually what prompted the national title game, was that split national title in 2003.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because at that point, that was when they just decided that the Sugar Bowl was going to be a national title game. Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, those were considered the national title. Yeah, Orange Bowl national title games, and then the NCAA decided, we could play all those games, and then we could have another game on top of that as just the national title game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we got. Now we got the playoffs. That's expanding. Dan's notes was, Dan, I didn't want to do this, but you know what? That's why you don't celebrate until the clock hits 0. Okay. You don't say bring out the jug, especially against Michigan, especially because you haven't even won at home since the 70s against Michigan. So you just gotta know your place, buddy.
It's gonna be great
And
when
we'll
Gophers bring it home this year, though.
Ethan's got jokes.
Oh, McNamara, whatever his loser name is, just sucking ass right then. U.S. Bank or TCF, whatever bank it is. It's gonna be
Huntington.
great.
Huntington.
You don't even know it. You don't even know it.
I'm just upset.
Michigan's worried about the Gophers.
I'm just upset JJ McCarthy's girlfriend has not accepted my Instagram follow request
Yeah,
yet.
true
Still
that.
hasn't?
She still hasn't.
I would
It's not
cancel
like-
when we try. People might have forgot, so now she'll see it.
It's not like I'm gonna message her and say, "Hey, baby," because she's way too good looking for me. But come on.
We know that.
I mean, I just saw an attractive girl in Phoenix, Arizona, and then I saw the girl she was standing next to, and I was like, okay, she's clearly JJ's girlfriend, and that's the sister next to her. You could just, it was obvious. You know, in the words of Alec Miller, she stuck out like a dick in a cake. But yeah, and I don't even remember this girl's name, so it's not like I can go back to her account and cancel the request. It's still hanging there.
Well, when we're done recording, I'll look it up and get back to you on it.
Or she just straight up declined me, which
she could have.
I actually kind of hope she would have, because like you said,
That'd be hilarious. I mean, she actually knows who you are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because let's be honest, she is way too pretty for me. But I think she's also a Cubs fan, so
I think she's on to you.
I don't know about that.
Better check your Instagram.
Even if she was, Grant wouldn't talk to her anyways.
I wouldn't know what to say.
I saw you on TV.
My name is Potato.
I saw you on TV. My name is Potato.
You would be like the Chris Farley SNL video where he's interviewing John Lennon. Hey, you remember when you played with the Beatles? That was awesome, man.
That was awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah.
But
so Grant, what do you do in your free time? Lift weights. What else? That's about it.
Potatoes.
So what kind of protein do you eat? I'd ask stupid questions like that. It would be an absolute disaster.
But and we'll go on where Holy Cross upsets the Gophers in the NCAA tournament. Anytime my former coworker, he went to UND, and anytime the Gophers and UND play, he doesn't wear UND stuff. He wears a Holy Cross hockey shirt as a troll job. Minnesota had 7 power plays in this game. They were number 1 in the country for most of the year, and they, in typical Minnesota fashion, lose.
Just like this year against Quinnipiac.
Yep. And that was they lose 53 seconds into overtime off a Gopher player's skates.
Only Minnesota.
Yes.
Only Minnesota.
Stupid as it gets.
It really is. And then back to same year in 2006, just a little bit ahead, is when the Gophers blow a 31-point lead in a bowl game. They were up 38-7 midway through the third quarter, and Texas Tech got hot. They come back, they win it, and they get it to overtime on a 52-yard field goal. They get it to the Gophers kick a field goal. Texas Tech gets a touchdown. The legend of Mike Leach grows, and the end of the Glenn Mason era in Minnesota. And that it was leading up to it. Him blowing this 31-point lead is what sealed it, because there were fans that were bringing, Dan included, was bringing signs into the Metrodome saying "Fire Mason," which ended up being one of the worst decisions they've made, because then they go and hire Tim Brewster, and they went even farther down the hole.
Yeah.
Never should have fired Glenn Mason.
No. This was actually the first game I remember. I remember watching the bowl game, and I was like, oh my God, who the F cares? It's the friggin' Insight Bowl.
Yeah, it's a game in Tempe, Arizona on NFL Network. Nobody's
Yeah, no
watching.
one
It's
cares.
not even on ESPN. This game doesn't matter this much.
And and that's what made Ethan decide to be a Gopher fan.
Literally, I saw that and I'm like, yes. You know that gif? Yes.
Yes. Yes. I don't know what it is about heartbreak.
I'm thinking more of the Will Smith and the Will Smith or Will Ferrell meme in Wedding Crashers, where what an idiot! Oh, so stupid!
What an idiot!
Stupid.
So stupid!
Who'd have thought?
And then does Ethan after that? Do you say, "Hey, Cheryl, where's the meatloaf at?"
Yep.
Mom, the meatloaf.
Oh. The next one's big.
And then this one is probably the one that, outside of the 2003 Brown Jug game, this is one I remember the most. Is when the Minnesota hockey leaves to join the Big Ten, and which killed the WCHA. Basically killed Minnesota, like any interest in.
Worst thing
in
that's
hockey.
happened to college hockey was
So
the
dumb.
Big Ten. Big Ten getting a hockey conference and ruining the best conference in college sports. In all of college sports.
Well, and just by these numbers is so that the last WCHA hockey tournament averaged 18,100 fans a game. The 2019 Big Ten tournament final had 5,100 people there. I mean, and this had rivalries. It had Duluth. It had UND. Denver was in it. Colorado College.
St. Cloud, Wisconsin. MSU.
Bemidji, Mankato.
I don't think Bemidji wasn't in there. They had Michigan Tech.
Oh, they weren't.
Michigan Tech,
okay.
Alaska Anchorage. I mean, this was college hockey at the highest. And then Dylan.
And I mean, those games were competitive.
They were competitive, and they were so much fun to be
They're
at.
great.
Oh my god!
And
ticket sales were nuts.
The amount of games I went to as a kid in Mankato when Duluth came into town, when the Gophers came into town, St. Cloud, it was unbelievable. Seeing UND fans travel from Grand Forks and essentially take up half the arena, it was romantic in a weird way. Not to be creepy about this, but it was just so cool. The Big Ten just ruined everything. And if I'm not mistaken, the other conference was the CCHA, which had Omaha, Ohio State, Michigan State. I said Omaha. I think those were the Miami of Ohio, those big hitters. That was the other great conference, too. Of course.
More breaking news. Another bases loaded hit. A double.
Woo!
5-0.
But Grant, you're right. I mean, you look at you go onto YouTube and watch those games. Like, fans were sitting on pins and needles with excitement, nervousness. There was just uneasiness in the arena those whole games.
Dude.
And then the Big Ten happens, and even when UND Minnesota plays, which is a huge deal.
Huge
there
game.
was the stadium. Mariucci was half empty.
Dude, I remember one time a WCHA game, Duluth was in Mankato, and we were down 4-1 going into the third. We scored like 5 goals in a row. Or 4 goals in a row. We're up 5-4, and they're playing the da 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 da. Hey, and then we all pointed at the UMD goalie and says, "You suck!" And I was like in 7th grade, and I look over to my left, and I have an old elementary school teacher looking at me like, "There's this 12-year-old kid screaming, 'You suck!'"
I love it.
But that's how great the WCHA was, man. It's just a shame that the Big Ten had to ruin this, man.
Yeah. You and your 6-team BS rule.
Yeah, now let's get a team from Penn State and bring Notre Dame in and blah blah blah. It's
for shit.
Oh, it's awful. It makes you sick.
And then we're going on to quick hits. Go for gas. We've got 2 left here.
Awesome.
This is crazy. This happened in '86 when the Minnesota AD Paul Giel announced that the NCAA would investigate the basketball team. And after an 18-month investigation with cooperation from the university, the NCAA stated 40 violations, including the selling of game tickets by players for financial gain, similar to what happened with Musselman back in the 70s.
We're scalping tickets, baby.
Yep. And then they placed the men's basketball team on probation for 2 years. And Minnesota spent $300,000 on attorneys. And then a month later, Luther Darville, who was an administrator for the university's Office of Minority and Special Student Affairs, was investigated for misappropriating nearly $200,000 of university funds for himself and giving payments to students, including 9 football players. And you know what Darville did with this? He took it and he ran to the Bahamas, flew to the Bahamas, so they couldn't get him.
Yes.
A true American criminal.
This is
And he was. It was believed he was acting under the orders from Frank Wilderson Jr., who was Minnesota's vice president for student affairs. Darville was fired, indicted on charges. Like I said, fled to the Bahamas. The interim president, Richard Sauer, fired Giel, the AD, on July 5th and removed Wilderson from overseeing athletics.
The fact he wasn't fired is insane.
I just want to know what kind of dirt this guy had on everybody. Like,
and then Darville gets extradited.
That's so
cool. He's found guilty, sentenced to 18 months in prison in March of 1990. And then the Minnesota's attorneys found additional violations in the tennis and wrestling programs, and cost the university another $300,000 in legal fees. And then in December of 90, they began another investigation. 3 months later, they found Minnesota guilty of 17 rules violations, and as a result, the entire men's athletic department was put on probation for 2 years.
Fantastic.
You know what's crazy to me? Talking about you mentioned the wrestling program. How does them not selling Xanax get in this book?
I was just thinking that. How is that not?
When did that happen?
That 6-7 years ago. Recently, like Jay Robinson was the guy, and then he gets caught giving Xanax to his players. It doesn't make the book. And also, they were selling water pills so they could lose weight and they could make weight too.
Yep. Unbelievable. Just a big.
Well, who doesn't do that? If you ain't, you know what they say. It's basically the Minnesota Raiders. Cheating is encouraged.
Listen, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
And then the last one we got here is, and I didn't even realize this was against the Gophers, but the famous trick play of Michigan's Michael Legg, where he picked the puck up and just snuck it in behind Minnesota's goalie, and Michigan won and eventually went on to win a national title. But just probably one of the most iconic plays in college hockey is this play where
absolutely.
The guy, he picks it up and then just sneaks it right behind the goalie behind his back where he wasn't even looking.
Yeah, I can still remember that play to this day, and it still doesn't make any sense.
And it was and Minnesota wins this game, they probably go on to win the national title like Michigan did. But
yeah,
it was goal of the year, won an ESPY award, and there's Andrei Svechnikov. I totally butchered this. Of the Carolina Hurricanes, scored twice like this.
Well, guys, also another one for heartbreak that could have been on here was, and I understand in this year, so 2011, the NCAA Frozen Four was in St. Paul, and Duluth won, and I believe they beat Michigan that day in overtime, but it's in the Gophers' backyard, and they can't win a national title, and you have your in-state rival come into your city and win a national championship. When you're the state of hockey, come on now. Like, that shouldn't happen. But
what was this in? This was in what, 2018?
Or Duluth, they won their first one in 2011.
Okay. Well, I guess, yeah, because that was when. And
then, yeah, you're right. They did.
That was when Michigan beat
also.
UND.
That's what it was.
Because I think 18 was in St. Paul, because that was That was the year Minnesota or Duluth beat Notre Dame in the
Yeah.
final.
Yep.
That was
And
their
then
second national title.
And then fun fact for you, the Frozen Four is in St. Paul this upcoming spring, guys. So it looks like Duluth is going to
Ooh.
win the national title this year.
It's written in the cards.
Kind of like when the BCS or the college football playoff is in Louisiana, in New Orleans, LSU wins.
Yep. or the Final Fours in the state of Texas, UConn.
UConn, absolutely.
But
Speaking of, I remember there was one time when UConn didn't win it when it was in the state of Texas. 2018 in San Antonio.
I don't want to talk about it.
And I was not going to say anything else but that.
That was a fun team to watch. Didn't end the way they wanted it to. They just ran into a buzzsaw, but that was a fun team to watch in that Michigan team.
Mhm.
But yeah, we just got some quick hitters next week, and then the week after we'll probably have Dan on to come discuss the book with us. And he said he tweeted us out that he's making notes for us and has his rebuttals ready. So get your popcorn ready. We're gonna have some fireworks here on the show, but and we might have some on this show too, because we're gonna kick it over to Grant for Curveball of the Week.
Well, speaking of fireworks, and Memorial Day weekend, you got me thinking today, guys. Of all the holidays we have in this country that we celebrate, which one is your favorite to celebrate? Why is that, and what makes that your favorite holiday? Like, what events make that day so special?
I've always said Thanksgiving. I don't know why.
Just because you're a foodie?
I think because it's the food, but then again, like we usually eat the same thing at Christmas. I don't know why Thanksgiving's better, but maybe just the football. You always have your 2-3 games on throughout the day, all spread out so you can watch each one. You just eat, sleep, and watch football. That's all you do.
I mean, how much more American than that can it get?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you, E. I think it's Thanksgiving for me. It's all the food you can eat. You're not going to be getting judged because everybody else in the family is eating just as much as you are. The calories do not count because it's a holiday and you're with your family. Calories don't count on Thanksgiving or Christmas or any major holiday. So there's that. And then you have football on, and you can celebrate by in between the games. You can take a little nap and then go watch the Cowboys get their ass kicked probably, and then the Sunday night game. And if you're lucky enough, you don't have to work that Friday, and you can watch Iowa, Nebraska play.
Well, and then also because Thanksgiving is also the start of a 4-day football bender.
Yes.
And then you got rivalry weekend in college football, and then you're getting close to December. There's going to be big boy games going on in the NFL at that time too.
Yeah, and usually by that Sunday, you're tired out from football. The Saturday games, the Thursday games, even the Friday ones usually have some good ones. And now there's going to be an NFL game on Black Friday.
Black Friday, yeah.
It's just getting. It's a grind. It's gritty. You just got to grit it out and find a way to power through those games.
I don't know. For me, guys, I've always been a big 4th of July kind of guy.
Big bang
That
guy.
was my second one.
Big bang kind of guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just always getting together with family, just going out, having a barbecue, enjoying the nice weather. Sometimes you got some friends, you go out, you hang out on the lake for the day. I know last year Ethan and I went, we played a round of golf. Again, like I said, just the barbecue. And hey, we're celebrating our independence.
Yeah.
At that day, we said, you know what? Us 13 little colonies, let's take on the biggest monarch in the world and say we're free.
Grant Canterbury has giant fireworks. I'm just saying.
I might have to stop down.
Yeah.
He might have to. It's not like he can golf this year.
I can't golf this year.
It's true.
But hey, I can ride the cart and drink adult beverages and hang out and have a good time. I can't participate. But then always the fireworks show, at the end of the night, and good barbecue and hanging out with family, and also just the weather is sometimes shitty, sometimes good, but you get that perfect summer day. Something just feels right about it. And like I said, hey, us 13 little colonies, let's take on the biggest monarch in the world, guerrilla warfare, and develop the greatest country on earth. Let's celebrate that.
Amen.
Well
Amen.
said.
So yeah, big like I said, big 4th of July kind of guy.
I would say that was probably my second favorite holiday.
Yeah.
And truthfully, it's probably 1A, 1B. But since there's football on Thanksgiving, that's what takes the cake for me. That's what gets that over the hump and gets that makes Thanksgiving my favorite holiday.
And then this was years and years ago. Went to the Twins Yankees game on the 4th at Target Field, and in the words of Travis Kelce, it was electric. Something about just baseball on the 4th. You got a big brat, fries, an overpriced pop at the time because I don't think I was 21 yet. It felt like an American kind of day. So big 4th of July stand over here.
There you go. And we got 2 Thanksgivings, a 4th of July. We always appreciate the 4th of July. And that's what's crazy? It's about a month away.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah, for
that
month-
you think about it, that's weird to think that we've
A month from Sunday, guys.
Yeah.
It is. So that wraps up episode 80 of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. We'll have the segments of the show out on YouTube on Friday. Go check out our conversation Monday I just had with my cousin. If you haven't had yet, we will be posting a new one of that on Monday as well. You can check us out on Facebook at the Three Guys Talking Ball Facebook page. You can like, follow, share, leave a review. You can also go subscribe on YouTube under the same name, and then go follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at 3GTB Podcast, where we'll be posting content as well. That wraps up this week's episode, and we'll talk to you next time.